Hey!
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
NetherDred.
NetherDred!
NetherDred.
What the fuck is going on, y'all? You guys are live right now on the Zach Moonshine Show. How y'all doing?
Dude, we are kicking ass, Zach. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for helping us out on our first EP.
Yeah, dude. It was fucking, hey, man. The honor is mine, dude. Fucking, that was amazing, dude. And
Sweet.
I'm glad it came out sounding good, dude.
Yeah. It was fun. It was our first effort, obviously, by us saying, first EP, duh, but it was our first effort in a lot of ways. It was our first time using our studio down in Rio Rico and some of the work in Tucson, and then sent it up to you for mastering. So it was a first experience on a lot of fronts, and I was really happy with the way it turned out. So thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
It was a pleasure to record those takes in the manner that we did too. It was fun. We just played to a click, and then from there, all the takes, we just crushed them in the studio, and it was so fun, man.
Hell yeah, dude. And you guys put in the work, man. You guys fucking you did it, man. Like you made a really good sounding fucking record, and like just the whole thing, man. It's just really organic sounding, very natural, very just it feels like you're in the room with you guys, man. When I'm listening to it, I love it, dude. I think it sounds great.
I appreciate that, and that I'm glad to hear that, because that's exactly what we were going for. We wanted to strip it back, and obviously by saying that, we've used all the compressors and reverbs and delays and all the good stuff, but there's no there's no fake musicians on here. There's no AI anything on there. It's us raw, and that's the way I like it, and that's the way we play it live too, man.
Yeah, it sounds great, man. And to be honest with you, like when a band reaches out to me and asks me to help them with mixing or mastering or anything like that, I really don't know what to expect. And sometimes, it's gonna be a lot of work, and sometimes it's not gonna be that much work, And in this case, with you guys, it was very little. Like it was very little that needed to be done, because you already kind of had it very much in the pocket, man. And that's awesome. That's what you want, like, so whatever you guys did, man, wherever you guys were at, whatever you were doing with what you were using, you fucking nailed it, man. It sounded great, dude.
It was a lot of work. Thank you very much, man. I have to, give Trek a lot of props too. He put a lot of effort into setting up the studio and getting all the drum tracks just right on the in the mixer for the inputs for the DAW. And it was just a lot of effort to get it all configured and set up and to the point where we could just drop in and go. And kudos. Thank you, Trek, man. It was really fun recording at your place.
My pleasure. This has been a pleasure the whole way, and I think that's why we all make music. And Zach, you stepping in, man, and saying what you just said, just warmed my heart, brother, because we really did set out to make an organic sounding album. We really strive to make that sound like what you're going to hear when you come to a NetherDred show. And what you'll get on top of that is the thematic representation of the characters and the story that the songs tell. So that's like the biggest compliment you could give us, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, dude, tell us, give us a brief history rundown. Like how long have you guys been doing this, and how did this whole thing get started and everything?
Oh,
you want to start that, Dan?
Yeah, sure. I was in my last band having a good time, and I think I was getting to the point where I wanted to kind of go in a different direction, and I reached out to Trek and gave him my elevator pitch, and jumped on stage for the last time in my last band. And from there, we started to build this thing and fleshed out what direction we kind of wanted to go with the music. And from there, the Netherverse started to take shape. And the idea behind the Netherverse really started because I was looking for a way to be able to tell any kind of story, and whether it had a morality tale, or it was, just a tragedy or a love story or any story at all. And I wanted to be able to articulate it through characters that you would experience that situation in. And I wanted to make it timeless, so I didn't want to pigeonhole us into like all our lyrical content is going to be about swords and sorcery or wizards or something like that, right? No, not at all. The Netherverse exists in a timeless state, and the stories can come from any point and any time, and that's kind of the beauty of it, that we can pick and choose and tell the tales that we want and do it in a way that will draw you into that storytelling.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, tell us a little bit about the storytelling. Like what are these songs about, man? Can you give us some of the themes and shit? Sure. Like, part of the stories are coming from a concept of, in the Netherverse, there are all manner of magical and mythical beings, godlike creatures, and things that can invade your dreams and feed off of your nightmares and things like that. And all of these beings are really just a multi-dimensional beings that humans cannot perceive, but because of their very nature, they have complete control over us. And so they can manipulate our world, they can manipulate us, and so all the stories are told with those kind of characters in mind. So the first EP is called The Lords of Mayhem, and in there we're introducing some characters. We introduce 3 heroes and the God of Mayhem. And what's going on here is the God of Mayhem, watching from the Netherverse, from his realm, through his dimension to ours, watching what's going on, he sees these 3 heroes, a warrior from the north, a samurai type character from the east, and a barbarian queen. He sees them in dire situations which they overcome, and he is impressed with their ability to do so. And so over the course of this trilogy, we'll see him feed them a bit, through magical weapons that he's going to give them in an upcoming song for our next EP. That one's called Kings of Mayhem. And so he feeds their more maniacal desires, and it's really about how absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you take these heroes that were in these dire situations and overcame them to do good things for their people and for their loved ones, but then were manipulated to the point where they became tyrants in the end. And eventually they realize what's going on with them, and they try to break free from the God of Mayhem. They think they're successful, but, like I said, they're multidimensional beings. And so the God of Mayhem just tricked them into thinking that they were successful, and on he goes on his merry way, fucking with anybody he likes. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, dude. That sounds like a comic book, man.
As a matter of fact, it is a comic book. I'm glad you said that. We're trying to tie in like limited runs here. Trek, you want to talk about the comic?
Yeah, so this EP, we've got some limited edition merchandise that goes with it. And we have a graphic novella, which is just a small comic. And if you think of it in the terms of a lyric video, if you listen to the song Lords of Mayhem and read this comic, it visually gives you what's happening in the story for that song. And so along with that, we've got your patches and your shirts and hats and all that, right? But for this EP, we made a limited run of the EP itself, the patches, a lapel pin, and these graphic novellas. And there's only 100. When the 100 are gone, they're gone. And part of our master plan, if you want to call it, is we are releasing 3 EPs that will tell this whole story. So it's a trilogy, and there'll be limited edition merch with each of these that's a little bit different. And they'll all be runs of 100. And so for the collectors out there, this is your opportunity to get in on the Netherverse evolving, the music evolving, and you're getting to see and hear the tales of these heroes and the god of mayhem manipulating them.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I gotta tell you, it is badass, and I know for a fact because I have a copy of it myself. So very, very proud to have that in my collection, man. Fucking it's very cool, man. Thank you very much for sending that to me, man. Yeah, man, like the whole thing, the whole packaging of it, the way you're putting all this together, the artwork. Yeah, speaking of the artwork, man, like who did this artwork, dude? It's fucking amazing, man.
So we had this guy, his name's Reza, and he's in India. And we just found him on the internet, and
hell yeah,
we saw his work, and we were looking at it, and we were just like, damn, I think this guy might be it, right? We pitched him and said, hey, we're looking to do this thing, and we want a long-term relationship. It isn't just a one-off, right? So we want somebody who's going to be here and be with us on this journey, and we want you to bring to life the characters that we have in this song. And we kind of explained, this is a trilogy, these are the first 3 songs this band wrote, and we're going to release 3 EPs, and we need your art to tie it all together. So when he heard that, and we sent him the lyrics and sent him a sample of the music, he was like, I'd love to be a part of that. So we told him, hey, we want to be able to cross promote you, and we want you to get some benefit out of this too, because we really believe that working with people that have like minds is the way to feed this metal community that we live in. And I consider everybody we work with metal family, and we got to treat each other that way. So we take care of each other.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I'm looking at the cover right now, dude. You've got this like giant fucking Skeletor looking dude, and then you got like the samurai over there, and you got the barbarian, the fucking you got this chick over here, man. Like these warriors, man, they're fixing to go to fucking war with this motherfucker. Badass, dude. Badass.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be pretty, man. It ain't gonna be pretty. And the cool thing
but
about
it is pretty. Like, the album cover is fucking beautiful.
It is, man. I'm very proud of it. I'm so happy with it. And the cool thing is we're concentrating on this trilogy of 3 songs, but obviously there are other songs on the EP, and you'll find other characters in the Netherverse in those songs as well. Like in Necro Dancer, you have a guy who's going town to town and putting on shows for the local populace, but really he's enticing them all to his circus tent and killing them all and then raising them from the dead, and he makes some of them his players on stage and some of them the audience. So he has complete control, and when he's done, he just lets them loose on the town and he goes to the next place. So there's all these characters and stories that you'll find in the Netherverse. Like I said, it's not all just barbarians and swords and sorcery.
It almost sounds like you're talking about politics.
Like I said, the Netherverse is a way for us to tell any morality tale we want, and we can put whatever skin we want on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love it, man. Well, tell us about like your upbringings, man. Like, give us, like, take us back in time over some of the bands and stuff that you were listening to as kids that got you into this whole fucking thing that brought you into music and brought you to where you are now, man.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, I grew up on my parents' record collection, and it started with like Buddy Holly, and then it got into the Beatles, and then it was Cream, and it just kept progressing that way. And finally, I went out and started buying my own albums. And when I saw Kiss Alive 1, I had to have it. So that came home. And when I put that record on and I opened the jacket and you just see that picture of them on stage with all the fire and their costumes and the blood and everything, I was like, yeah. This is my kind of music. And it just exactly. And once I listened to that, it was like, this is what I want to do. And I actually remember seeing on TV that cheesy movie that they did, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
Yeah.
I saw that, and there was those little pieces where they performed, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I want to be Peter Criss up on that stage doing that. He had all the drums, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah,
so
game over, man.
Yep. So
that's before he figured out how much he had to carry around to each gig.
No, that didn't change anything. My kid. But so I got into the Scorpions, and then it turned to Judas Priest. Then it was Iron Maiden, and pretty soon you got Slayer, and it just got heavier and heavier and heavier. And I listen to all genres of music. Any good music, I can appreciate. So it's not like that I just like metal or a genre of metal. I have a pretty rich history, and you hear that, I think, come through all of our playing. We have roots that are definitely not metal, and I think that's what gives us the sound that we have, is because we all pull on our own personal backgrounds and what we listen to and what we played in the past. And I think that's kind of what makes our music special.
Nether metal.
Yeah. It's not something where we said, okay, we're going to play this kind of metal. We said, we're going to use our influences collectively, and whatever comes out of that is our kind of metal. Man.
What about the rest of you?
So, growing up, I grew up in a house with a lot of music around me. My dad played French horn, and my mom played accordion and piano, and my brother picked up the classical guitar, and it made me, appreciate music, and I wanted to get into it, and I really wanted to be like my older brother, but he wasn't playing the music I was really into, and I'd grown up through the same kind of influences that Trek mentioned from my parents, Beatles and Carpenters and things like that. But as I grew up, I got more into things like AC/DC and Kiss, and then I moved on into Quiet Riot and Motley Crue and all the hair bands. And then one day in the high school common area, I saw this guy with long hair playing an electric guitar, and he's playing Iron Maiden note for note, and that blew my fucking mind. One, I did not know that normal people were allowed to play electric guitars. I thought you had to be like rock star, and then they're like, here, sir, is your electric guitar. But no, apparently anybody can get these things. And two, he was playing Iron Maiden note for note, and that was just holy shit amazing, and I wanted to do that. So I went home, and I took my brother's classical guitar, very beautiful, nice nylon string guitar. I took a cassette of some band I didn't care about anymore, and I broke the case, so I made a pick out of it, a very, very sharp pick. And I scratched the living hell out of my brother's guitar, but man, I had so much fun. He's forgiven me since then, but it did take a few decades. I had the bug, man, and I couldn't stop. I just had to play, and I've gone through, a wide variety of musical influences along the way, through alternative rock and some funky stuff to some death rock, Bauhausy stuff, and my true love always comes back around to power metal-y stuff. I like big heavy metal with just bitchin' vocals. Dude,
that was the pick of destiny that you had, man.
Totally.
Hell yeah.
I wish I knew what tape I took it from. You know what I mean? That might have meaning. It was probably like Crocus or something.
Fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, tell us about some of these for all the gearheads out there, man. Like, what kind of tone, what kind of gear and stuff are you guys using to get these sounds in the studio, man? Like amps and pedals and shit like that, man. Like, what are you doing?
Sure. Yeah, you know what? I want Trek to talk to you about his 17 drum kits and 57 snares, and I think he has something like 300 cymbals. So I got that right, Trek?
Yeah, you're pretty close there.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, my main kit for this band is an 8-piece Tama Superstar, circa 1983, that I bought brand new from Drum World in San Francisco. And I had to talk my parents into letting me use the money that my grandparents gave me for college and to do this, right? So I really had to sell that.
Drums ain't cheap, man.
Yeah, totally.
No. And so they said, okay, well, we're going to let you do it, but you got to sign this piece of paper. You got to write this thing out saying that if this is the biggest mistake of your life, it's a choice that you made, right? So I had to write this thing down and sign it, and they actually made the entire family sign it. So all three of my brothers and sisters had to sign it as well. And I still have that, and it's actually framed in my studio. So my dad drove me across the Bay Bridge. We went to San Francisco, and we picked up this 5-piece, and it was the extra shells, which are the super deep ones, and it's the same sizes that Lars was playing in that year. And they're a birch shell, so they have over time just created a wonderful sound. So a few years later, I was like, I need another bass drum, and I need a couple more toms. So I ordered them to match, and I built a huge rack system around it, and I played Heisty cymbals, sounds, and gongs. I've got Tama Iron Cobra pedals. I played DW cable hats, and on my hi-hats, I do something kind of maybe unorthodox. I experiment a lot with the heavier bottom hi-hat cymbal on top, and it gives it a much different feel. It's not as light, and it's a much heavier sound, and I think it really cuts live, especially. So I do that whenever we play live. As Dan said, I've got a bunch of snare drums. I'm a snare drum collector. I don't think any drummer can have too many snares. So I've got a wide collection of snare drums, and I've got a whole tree of cymbals. So like if you walk into Guitar Center and you look at the displays, I actually got one of those display racks, and it's full except for one slot. So I'm looking for my next. Yeah. Aside from that, just like I'm sitting here in my office, and I'm looking at a 15-inch by 16-inch marching tenor drum. So I just, all things drums that's what I eat. That's what I live. That's what I shit, man. I'm just, that is my life.
That's really hard to pass. Really hard to pass.
Oh yeah, dude.
Gotta flush that snare down the toilet though.
You got
and I gotta say, thanks to Remo heads, I've been playing Remo my entire career. I think they're just solid. And Scorpion percussion sticks. They're a veteran-owned, made in the United States company, and I have played all different kinds of sticks. Their sticks are truer when you roll them, and they're better weight matched and pitch matched than any of the main name brands out there. So I am 100% endorsing them, and I'm happy to say we're part of their compilation this year. So
very cool.
That is badass.
Oh, yeah. On the EP, I rocked the Marshall head, but I had a lot of problems with it, so I ditched the Marshall, and since then I've picked up a Black Star head, and I am in love with it, just kicking ass with it. And as far as the guitars, I actually have a Cort with an Evertune bridge in it, and I've just fallen in love with that so much that it's hard for me to pick up any other guitar, because Evertune is no lie, man. It really does stay in tune, and you can adjust the tension on it such that it'll be incredibly solid. So no matter how much pull you put or push on those strings, it'll still be in tune, which is great for tracking rhythm. Or you can put it right on the verge, so all your bends will just be just as responsive as they would on a normal bridge. It's just a phenomenal system, and I didn't believe it until I got it, and now I can't live without it. So that's my two major pieces of gear that I work with. For my pedal board, I try to keep it really simple these days, because I don't want to have to fuck with a bunch of shit on stage anymore. I want to just play my music. And so I don't want to have to think about, oh, I need a chorus for this section and a delay for this, and but I got to turn that off, and then I got to hit the solo bit. Through all that, I have my tone, and it sounds great. And so I've cut everything off the pedal board except for a wah pedal and a decimator noise gate, which really helps keep things under control on stage. So that's pretty much what I'm rocking mostly. Other than that, I do have a few other guitars that I love and pull out and have different origin stories for each of them, and I could talk about them forever, so we should probably not go into each one of those guitars. But you know, I've got our bass player Ryan here as well, and he's got some really interesting basses. I've never seen anything like them until I joined this band. So Ryan, tell us about these basses that look like somebody chopped down a tree and built a bass for you.
Well, they actually were all built for me. The guy in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, named Steve Wisniewski. He owns a company called Wish Bass, and people will remember not too long ago, everybody had a parlor piano in the front parlor, right? I'm sure you had one growing up. And so they've all gone, all these pianos have gone fallow. And so what he does, he goes around and buys these damn things. And these pianos are all made out of real wood. Yeah, nice. They're not, these things are not particle board. They're all made out of solid oak, solid maple. And so he chops them up and makes basses and guitars out of them.
Wow.
So yeah, the first bass I got from him is persimmon on the front and back. God only knows where he found persimmon. But it's also, Purple Heart fingerboard and stringers, solid rock maple neck. And
that was just making up wood
and
names.
There's a strip, and then there's a strip that's sandwiched in the body that is the pegboard out of a piano.
That's cool.
Another bass that I had him make for me is the front is made out of spalted poplar that he got from fence posts in his front yard. And I swear to God, the rest of the bass is made out of a pallet.
Totally.
Because it's all solid oak. And he ships the things to you in the white, so no finish, no sanding. It's not a finished instrument. I mean, you could take it out and gig with it, but get the fuck out of your hands. So you get this thing, and then you got to sand it down, and usually he throws like a P90 pickup in it, so I always chisel it out for the humbucker. And you wind up, and then you do your own finish on it. You wind up with an instrument that's uniquely yours.
Yeah, that's sweet. Kind of did the same thing with a Warmouth, but it wasn't, it's just a parts caster. And the cool thing is, you can dial it in exactly the way you want. You can get the knobs and all the electronics exactly positioned where you want. The pickups, everything, how you like it. And in the end, it's an instrument that nobody else has. And I think that's what struck me about those basses. You look at them like, I have never ever seen that before.
On the fretted one that I had made most recently, the neck on it is thicker than any baseball bat I've ever find. It's an insanely thick neck, but the thing has so much sustain. I know how to shave the neck down. I just haven't. I don't want to affect the tone of the thing.
Yeah,
and he uses it to play cricket on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. I could. The fretless. I actually had the first gig that I ever played that fretless at was at this bar, and I had just bought a 5-string Warwick, which I was playing at the time, and I had my fretless on it in a stand off to the back. This drunk guy gets up on stage, topples over a bunch of shit, tips my brand new fretless bass right off the fucking stage onto the ground, and not even a nick on the thing.
That's amazing.
Because persimmon is actually a relative of ebony, so it is hard as nails. But that's what I have on the album. On this first EP, I'm probably going to pull out the fretless for some of the next EP. The first EP, I'm playing primarily a Ibanez BTB headless 6-string with the fan frets. It's my first headless, my first 6-string, and my first fan fret instrument. And playing that just through it's just a Carvin micro bass amp, which is a very clean, very simple, very reliable, tiny bass head.
Yeah, like did you pull it out of your back pocket or something?
No, it's about the size of a lunchbox. I could put that thing in a Thundercats lunchbox.
Thundercats. Oh,
exactly.
Dude, Carvin was such a great company, man. I wish they would fucking come back, man. Like
they were.
And that amp is so clean. It's 200 watts, which is more than you're ever going to need on any kind of stage. And it's got XLR out. It's got a built-in compressor that's super clean.
Hell yeah.
It does absolutely everything I could ever possibly want it to. I have a Carvin Pro 200 at the home, but it's on the blink right now. I need to take it in and get it worked on. But that thing is a beast. It's basically just completely stolen circuit for circuit from an Ampeg.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's the goat right there.
It's a fuck nasty amp, and and much like the mini one, it's a 2-rack amp, weighs nothing,
but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds good when it's
sounds
working.
Amazing
when it's working.
Yeah, when it's working.
Hell yeah.
That little Carvin, it's like the Stonehenge in the first Spinal Tap movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck yeah.
It'll power a full stack too. I should bring in both cabinets so that I have the 15 and the 412 and then Thundercats lunchbox up on top.
We should have Ryan jump on the wharf and just dance around his rig.
Hell yeah.
We should. One more thing on the gear there, Zach. For the studio, we built a guitar cab. It was just an old crate, that I picked up cheap. We loaded it with some Celestion 30s, 70th anniversary, a pair of those, and then a pair of Mojo Tone British vintage 30s.
Yeah.
So that thing, you can put. So I think we recorded both guitar tracks through that cab. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surge
amps. We had my Marshall.
Surge had his Ingle.
Yeah, exactly. Fireball.
Yeah, so you he's got a Powerball, and since they're not there, we should actually talk about our other band members. So Sergei Gordienko, originally from Russia, as a child, was right there, at the Chernobyl meltdown, but his parents said we need to leave. So he's been in the States most of his life, but when he found metal, it was Metallica that really got him going. But he really brings to this band, I think, the black metal piece, which complements, the two guitar styles that are pretty different. He melds that in there and gives that this other sound, which is the dynamic between the two sounds, I think, is just amazing.
Me too. Yeah, it works for me. It's like taking a hard rock, classic heavy metal style and mashing it together with a black metal style, and it just really works because the one leaves room for the other, and it really creates this pulsating effect that is kind of defines us.
Yeah, and maybe Dan, you could talk a little bit about his guitars, because I'm just a blonde drummer.
He's got a few guitars, and I've had the pleasure of doing setups on just about all of them. But I think that I'm not even sure about what kind of guitars he has anymore. I've forgotten. They're pointy and sharp, and every single one double as a weapon.
Rich Drago.
There, yeah, that's the one.
That's
his
primary,
main axe,
that's his primary V. He also has a Fender Stratocaster.
No. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot what that one is. You know why? Because he gives a shit about Fender Strats.
Did the setup on that one, old man.
And
there's a old Schecter. There's an old Schecter V.
Yeah, it's a Schecter V.
I have no idea where he got that.
Yeah, that thing had a problem. A grounding issue.
And then he has one of the 7-string Warlocks.
Yeah, 7 strings. I don't understand. I don't count to 7. I count to 6. That's why when Ryan pulled out that bass with 6 strings, I was very confused. I didn't know what to do.
Well, I can only count to 4, so.
I can only count to 4.
And we can't forget Rachel.
Oh,
Rachel came to, and she came very soon after we found Surge. As after me and Dan got together, we finally linked up with Ryan through another mutual friend in a band here in Tucson, and it was a matter of we just need the vocals. And she had recently moved back to Tucson, and we met her. We explained the Netherverse. We told her we wanted clean vocals and that she could have creative freedom, do what you want, girl, go with this. We just want your voice. And
her lyrical
that's what.
Oh my God, her lyrics are amazing. They fit right in the Netherverse.
Yeah. So if you've listened to the music, you can tell she's got that very clean kind of operatic sounding, and that's just because of her roots, because she was operatically trained, and she spent many years doing just that. And her lyrics are amazing. For example, Zach, the tune you opened with, Spellbound, that's about an outcast, and the outcast is getting heckled, right? So to revenge, she summons a demon. And if you see the video, which is on our YouTube page, you can see it transforms between 2 different times. It's way back in the past, and it's also in the present, and there's a little shift to the future, which kind of brings that Netherverse vibe in. So she writes some amazing lyrics. She's got an incredible voice, and her performance on stage, I kind of think of her as a sorceress who's out there and just bringing the Netherverse to the crowd as we play the music.
Yeah, enchanting the crowd. Yeah, totally.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, man. Everything you guys have done so far, man. It's sounding great. It's looking great, man. And I'm looking forward to hearing what's next for sure, man. Speaking of that, can you tell us? Do you guys have anything coming up next that you want to announce or anything like that? Any shows or anything?
We do.
Yeah, we do. Trek, why don't you give us the rundown? You're really good at that.
Absolutely love to. So we just played a charity event here in Tucson. It was Mosh for Mental Health, which is a nationwide thing, but we were supporting the local charity here, Casas de los Niños, and that went amazing. Had a great turnout. The local news, KOLD, actually showed up and caught us in action, and so we got our first bit of local news coverage there.
Hell yeah!
And on April 18th, we're going to be playing the Spring Fling in New Mexico. So that's an outdoor festival, and we got invited to do that when we were playing the Southwest Power Fest last September. So promoter there and one of the band members there, he just came up and said, "Hey man, you guys are awesome. We got this festival coming up in the spring. Would you want to do it?" And we're like, absolutely, we'd love to be a part of that. So we're looking forward to making a little road trip, making some new friends, and spreading the Netherverse into New Mexico here soon. Been putting in for a bunch of festivals in Canada, Mexico, and all across the United States. So we're hoping to catch a few of those and get out and bring the Netherverse to more places across this country. And just share the music, make new friends, and support the local underground music community because it's strong. And we're going to invest in the future of metal.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. Well, dudes, I'm about out of questions for you, man. Is there anything else you want to let the people know?
Just
join
us in the Netherverse, man. I think that it's a refreshing place to be. It's a great escapism, and we'd love to see you there, man.
And you can get there by going to www.NetherDred.com. From there, you got links to all of our socials, our Bandcamp site. You can see upcoming events. You can see the pictures of our shows, some of the videos we have there. So if you want to get more in tune with the Netherverse, figure out what it is, just go to NetherDred.com.
Fuck yeah, man. Right. Well, before I let you guys go, I got to get you to make a station tag, all right?
Yeah, you got it.
All right, man. Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is NetherDred, and you're listening to Metal Devastation motherfucking radio."
This is NetherDred, and you're listening to Metal Devastation fucking radio. Where metal reigns supreme.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, dudes, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, man. I really appreciate it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blast some more NetherDred for these motherfuckers so they go crazy, all right?
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
So much, Greg.
All right, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
You guys keep in touch. We'll
Have a
talk
great
to you
night.
soon.
Fuck on.
Later.
Later. There you have it, folks. NetherDred live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking radio. Like I said earlier, you better put your speakers in your fucking windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway. I don't give a fuck how cold it is outside. If you got speaker wire long enough, carry the motherfuckers outside, crank your fucking volume all the fucking way up, and blast this shit till you see U-Haul trucks sliding all over the ice tomorrow.